The next strategy I am explaining you is called pilot light. This is a concept. Pilot light word originate from real life where we have something called a pilot or a pilot burner. This is a small flame kept burning continuously as in gas stove or furnace to relight the main gas burner whenever necessary or desired. So you may find that there is a small footprint of fire always burning into a burner, and if you need to make that fire big, you would supply with the fuel and then you do not need to ignite it again because there was a small footprint. So this was the small footprint initially, and then it can become a bigger footprint depending on what you need. That concept is referred as pilot light. In AWS, in cloud also, it is a similar concept. You can implement the similar concept in your on-prem environment too. Let's consider what a pilot light example is. I am taking example of AWS here, but again, this can be done in on-prem also. It can be done in other cloud provider. They have similar solutions available. So consider, let's say I am running an on-prem application which has web server, application server, and a database that is coming up. And I would have some DNS service. Mostly in case of AWS, it would be Route 53. User come to my web server. Let's say my application name is abc.com. So user come to Route 53 or any DNS server, they get abc.com resolved to an IP address, and that IP address would be pointing to my web server, and afterward users are able to get to my web server and they start accessing my application. That's how everything works. Hopefully everything will keep on working, but in case your on-prem would go down, your application would be down, and we want to mitigate it. So we selected that, okay, I would use AWS as my recovery solution, or I would be hosting my application in AWS in case something goes wrong in my on-prem. So what you need now? You would be needing your data there so that you could start your operations again. So what you could do depending on the database you are using, so I may have a primary copy running on-prem and I could create a copy of the database in cloud provider's infrastructure and then start replication. Replication can be done through the native software offered by the database vendor, like Oracle has its own replication mechanism, MySQL has its own mechanism, or you could have used some third-party software also who could start replicating your data to a standby database or a secondary database. So that is how we ensure that my data is available. Now, only having database will not work. I would still be needing a front end. I would be needing a processing tier also. So what I have done, I have captured details of this web server and app server configuration, and in AWS, I have stored them in a format of AMI, Amazon Machine Image. If you have talked about AWS or learned about it, AMI is the template from which machines can be deployed. It is like a master copy. So if I have here maybe Java installed, if I have here some web server setting configured, I would have created a template from that, and that template can be leveraged to deploy my machines later, should not be a problem. So why this is called pilot light? Because if you look here, we have a small footprint which is always running. My template is not costing me money right now because they are not running copies. I am just paying the storage cost associated with them, not the compute cost. I am paying the compute and storage cost for this database instance because it is continuously getting replication. You can have a continuous replication happening, or you could have a hourly or a schedule based replication happening. It purely depends on your use cases. So that's why my footprint in terms of cost is small, but in case something goes wrong on-prem, let's say my on-prem environment is down, okay, what would happen now? Admin would detect it, and most probably it will be done through automation, not like manually somebody saying that your website is down. You would have some indicator alarm which will tell you, and based on that, admin would kick in some automation script. Maybe it will be a script in CloudFormation, maybe it would be a Python script, maybe it would be a script in any other languages of the choice. And through this automation, what they would do, they would launch server from this template. So these template now need to be used. So we would be now launching the template and my servers would be ready. We would be also promoting our database to become primary. It was a replication copy before, but now we would say, hey, we need you now to become primary. So my web servers are ready. My application server is ready, and my database also has been promoted to be a primary database. And now my application is ready. but my user do not know that. So I have to go to DNS provider and change its configuration so that I would have my redirect request coming now to the newer set of my application. So I would now go ahead and update my Route 53 or DNS provider, and afterward my user would start accessing my application from here. That's how we would move on. I may have to auto scale because maybe I'm just representing one web server, but what if it was set of 10 web server and 15 or 5 app server? So this was a single server we launched initially, and then we would perform auto scaling on that depending on the traffic coming to it. So we'll be performing auto scaling. So as you could compare why it is called Pilot Lite, because we had a small footprint running before, and when we needed, we have expanded it to become a bigger footprint by launching multiple web server and app server and promoting my database to become a primary. So that's why this mechanism is considered as a Pilot Lite. How you would implement it depends. You may implement your replication piece by some third party or the native solutions of the vendor, and then the automation piece, again, you could use your you could use your programming languages or CloudFormation template or Terraform to launch all these templates and update the DNS record. So this configuration or this way of recovery is considered as Pilot Lite. This can be useful for application where you do not need a lot of downtime. Like, so if you have to backup and restore, and if you do a restore, it may take time, maybe hours, and that's why it for some critical application, hours downtime may not be good, and that's where you still keep the cost low and recover it in minutes. That is referred as Pilot Light mechanism.